In the heart of dense Indian forest, there was a beautiful lake called Mansarovar. The lake was surrounded by tall trees, their branches swaying gently in the breeze. The water shimmered under the warm sun, providing a serene habitat for numerous creatures. Birds chirped melodiously, deer grazed peacefully, and fish swam gracefully in the clear waters. Among the inhabitants of the lake was a tortoise named Kambu. He had a lot of stories to tell, and he loved sharing them with anyone who would listen. While his tales were amusing, they were often lengthy, and he struggled to know when to stop talking. Kambu's closest friends were two sons, Nandu and Bindu, who frequently visited the lake. They were patient and kind, and listened to Kambu's stories with genuine interest. The trio spent hours together, enjoying the beauty of their surroundings and the warmth of each other's company. One summer, the forest experienced an unexpected dry spell. The sun was relentless, and the once abundant water supply in the lake began to dry. The trees around Mansarovar turned brown, and the animals grew worried about their future. Nandu and Bindu noticed the water level decreasing every time they visited. Kambu, Nandu said one day, "If this continues, the lake will soon dry up completely." Kambu nodded, his usual chatter subdued by concern. "What shall we do, dear friends? This lake has been my home for as long as I can remember." Bindu replied, "We must find a solution before it's too late. Perhaps there is a place with more water, where you can go until the rains return." The idea of leaving his home frightened Kambu, but he knew that he had to consider it. "I would follow you anywhere," he said. "But how can I travel as fast as you fly?" Nanda and Bindu thought hard and came up with a clever plan. "We can carry you," Nanda suggested. "We will find a sturdy stick you can hold into it with your mouth, and we will fly you to a new lake where there is plenty of water." Kambu was both relieved and excited about the idea. "That sounds wonderful," he exclaimed. "But will it work?" "Yes," Bindu assured him. "But there is one condition. You must remain silent throughout the journey. If you open your mouth, you will fall." Kambu hesitated, knowing how much he loved to talk. "I understand," he replied, determination in his voice. "I will not say a word." The next day, Nanda and Bindu found a strong stick and brought it to Kambu. He clamped down on it with his mouth, carefully not to loosen his grip. The swans then each took an end of the stick in their beaks. With a powerful flap of their wings, Nanda and Bindu lifted off the ground, carrying Kambu into the sky. As they rose higher, Kambu was filled with awe at the sight of the forest below. The trees seemed to shrink, and the lake appeared like a small glimmering patch. Flying was an exciting experience for Kambu, who had never left the ground before. He looked around, soaking in the vastness of the world beyond the lake. However, he reminded himself to remain silent, resisting the urge to express his excitement. As they flew over the forest, Kambu saw several animals below, including a group of monkeys chattering in the trees. The monkeys noticed the unusual sight of a tortoise flying through the sky and began to laugh and shout. "Look at that," one monkey jeered. "A flying tortoise! How ridiculous!" Kambu's pride was pricked by the monkey's laughter. He wanted to defend himself and explain his situation, but he remembered his promise to stay silent. He held on tightly to the stick, trying to ignore the taunts. As they continued, more animals noticed the flying tortoise. Some laughed, while others expressed admiration. "What a clever tortoise!" a deer exclaimed. "He has found a way to escape the drought." Kambu felt a swell of pride at the deer's words, but the laughter of the monkeys still echoed in his mind. His urge to speak grew stronger with each passing moment. Eventually, Kambu could hold back no longer. He wanted to respond to the animals below, to share his cleverness and adventurous spirit. Forgetting the promise, he opened his mouth to speak. The moment he let go of the stick, Kambu began to fall. The wind rushed past him as he fell on the ground. Nanda and Bindu cried out in alarm, but could do nothing to stop the fall. With a thud, Kambu landed on a soft patch of grass. Though shaken, he was unharmed, thanks to the gentle ground. The monkeys laughed even harder at this, and Kambu felt embarrassed and foolish. Nanda and Bindu flew down to where Kambu lay. "Oh Kambu," Nanda said gently, "we warned you not to speak." "I am sorry," Kambu replied, hanging his head in shame. "I was so proud and forgot your warning. I should have listened to you." Kambu realized the importance of listening to his friends and the wisdom of silence. "I have learned my lesson," he said sincerely. "Pride and talkativeness have led me astray, but I will be more mindful in the future." Bindu smiled, offering comfort. "We are glad you are safe, Kambu. We can try again. But this time, remember the importance of silence and focus." The swans helped Kambu back onto the stick and they took flight once more. This time, Kambu kept his mouth shut firmly, determined not to repeat his mistake. The journey continued without incident, and soon they reached a lush, vibrant lake. The water sparkled, and Kambu felt grateful to have such caring friends. The new lake was even more beautiful than Mansarovar. The surrounding trees were tall and full of fruits, and the water was clear and refreshing. Many animals lived around the lake, all welcoming Kambu with open arms. Nanda and Bindu stayed with Kambu for a few days, helping him settle into his new home. They introduced him to the other animals, who were curious about the talkative tortoise and his adventure. Though Kambu still enjoyed telling stories, he remembered the lesson he had learned. He spoke thoughtfully, ensuring his tales were concise and respectful for others' time. The animals appreciated his stories and were eager to hear more. As the days passed, Kambu formed new friendships with the animals at the lake. His stories entertained and educated, and he became known for his wisdom and kindness. Nanda and Bindu visited often, bringing news from Mansarovar. The rains eventually returned, replenishing the lake, but Kambu decided to stay in his new home, where he had built a new life. Kambu's bond with Nanda and Bindu grew even stronger. They had been through an incredible journey together, and their friendship remained steadfast and true. Kambu's story spread throughout the forest, becoming a beloved tale that taught valuable lessons about humanity and power of silence. The animals learned that sometimes it's wise to listen more than speak, and that pride can lead to folly. Kambu's journey had transformed him, and he was grateful for the experiences that he had shaped him into a better, wiser tortoise. He cherished his friends and understood the importance of being humble and attentive. As Kambu basked in the warmth of his new home and the companionship of his friends, he knew that the lesson he had learned would guide him throughout his life. His story continued to inspire, reminding everyone that true wisdom often lies in knowing when to speak and when to listen. If you like the story, then subscribe to the channel for more interesting stories.